after this. So good morning and afternoon, everybody. Kim and I are very excited about presenting this class. We're both very passionate about essential oils. I unfortunately didn't have them in my life during pregnancy, but Kim certainly did. So we're both going to share our experiences and our knowledge. So firstly, we have a disclaimer because we have to do these things. So the information presented in this workshop is for educational purposes only. Products discussed are here not to intend to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The information in this workshop is not intended to be substituted for professional medical advice. If you are pregnant, breastfeeding, taking medication, or have a medical condition, you should consult your health professional before using these products for yourself on children or clients. So there you go, something that we have to do and say. So what are we going to cover today? So today we're going things that you need to know before using essential oils during pregnancy, labour, and with babies. Which essential oils can you and can't you use? Chemicals to avoid, and some great natural products for you and your baby. Okay, so who are we? Well, this is myself and Kim. Quite a lovely photo of us, actually. I should keep that one as my profile picture, I think, Kim. So anyway, who are we? We're both oil enthusiasts. We're educators. We love essential oils. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and then Kim can tell you about her. I was introduced to Young Living 6 years ago, so unfortunately I didn't have these when my kids were babies. I had quite a lot of hormonal issues myself. I was unaware of the chemicals in our home and the effects that they were having on myself and my health and my children. But on this journey, I've become very passionate about educating women and epigenetics. So knowing that what my mum or my grandmother came into contact with not only was affecting her health and the health of her children, but also her unborn grandchildren as well. So, you know, once we know better, we do better. And the more people that we can get this message across to, the better. And I have two beautiful girls, and I want them to have a different journey health-wise from me. So that's why I'm very passionate about learning and then sharing this information. So over to Kim.
All right, so this is me when I was pregnant, and I was lucky enough to basically both of my girls, who are now 11 and 9, have pretty well been essential oil babies since they were born. I originally got introduced to natural products because I was on a fertility journey. So I'm very passionate, like Kylie, in as far as educating women around the endocrine disrupting chemicals that are found in a lot of products and how they mess with our hormones, because that was a huge impact on my life and my ability to fall pregnant. And anyway, I went down the journey of choosing to have home births, and while I was pregnant, I was really worried that my midwife actually wasn't going to get there in time and she wasn't going to be there. And so I started to have not, like a huge panic, but I started to ask lots of questions about birth and, having natural things on hand. And she gave me a book on, alternatives for childbirth. And so I learned a lot about homeopathy and a lot about aromatherapy. And I started making like a shopping list of stuff to actually have during my birth. And that was how I started ordering essential oils. My mother-in-law was she was already using Young Living essential oils, and I didn't want to go down that membership kind of track. I just wanted to get the oils so that I could have them on hand. I call myself pregnant mumzilla. A lot of people, when they're in the lead up to their wedding, they become bridezilla. Well, I didn't have that. I was really calm during my lead up to my wedding. But when I was pregnant, I literally went through every room in my house, my laundry, my kitchen, my bathroom, and I threw out all the products that had any toxic ingredients in them. I remember my husband at the time said to me, "What are we going to clean with?" And I said, bicarb, vinegar, water, it doesn't matter, so long as, there's no chemicals, and, we just need to make sure that we get rid of all those chemicals. I had this plan for my home birth. I was going to have this beautiful water birth. We were going to blow up the pool. We were going to have candles, gentle music, essential oils going in the diffuser. It was this, amazing plan. Anyway, with my eldest, I actually had her in 10 minutes. And funnily enough, I didn't even have her at home. She was, born with just the midwife and my husband in the room, but I happened to go and get a check, and while I was having that check, they I basically had the baby. But with my second, once again, it was quite quick. I had quick births both times that I had children, but I knew a lot more about essential oils, because while I was on maternity leave, I was so passionate about using these oils that my midwife, she was the one who encouraged me to go and study aromatherapy, because she said, wow, you seem to know so much about this. You've learned so much about it. You should go and study. And that's basically how I went and learnt about aromatherapy, and in particular about using them with children and babies and during pregnancy. And it was really concerning to me, because when I first started, there was all kinds of things on the internet, and as there is today, and a lot of it was really wrong information, and it was giving women contradictory advice. You'd see one thing over here that would say essential oils are toxic and they're terrible, and over here you'd say some other information which was like, oh, they're all safe. And I thought, there's got to be some common ground here. Like, where is where's the research? Where's the people who are giving correct information? So when I studied aromatherapy, which was close to 9-10 years ago now, I wanted to be able to educate women so that to reduce that fear factor, I guess, because you jump online and you see this massive stuff that scares you, and then you see all this other stuff saying, yeah, slather clove oil all over your teething baby, all of this kind of stuff. And I thought, there's got to be somewhere in the middle. And so that's what this workshop is all about. This workshop is about, I guess, giving you the confidence to go out and use essential oils safely, but you know exactly what ones to use and, I guess what ones not to use. So anyway, that's me and my story. So if you haven't used essential oils before and you're not really sure what they are, basically they're steam distilled. So the true sense of an essential oil is that it has to be steam distilled, which basically means cooking it up in a big cooker. The steam rises, they cool it down, and the essential oil is that layer of oil that sits on top of the water. Volatile, I mean, it was funny, even this morning I had someone contact me and they said, volatile, does that mean that they catch on fire? And I say, volatile just means evaporates. So if you leave the lid of your essential oil bottle off for a period of time, you'll notice it will actually evaporate. And that's why when you open the lid, say peppermint or something like that, you can smell it on the other side of the room. So essential oils are aromatic plants. So this plant itself has to have some kind of an aroma. If the plant doesn't have an aroma, then obviously it can't make an essential oil. But they come from shrubs, flowers, trees, roots, bark, seeds. They have to be cultivated under specific conditions. And this is why quality really does matter. If you are buying your essential oils from a company who's using herbicides and pesticides, then all of those chemicals are actually going to have got onto the plant. And when they are steam distilled and they become a much more concentrated version of that plant, then you're going to find that all those chemicals are actually going to be concentrated in the essential oil. And that's the last thing we want to be using when we're trying to be safe and create this beautiful environment for our babies and, while we're pregnant. And we certainly don't want to be having those nasty chemicals in our essential oils or especially put on our bodies. They need to be distilled in the right way. This was something that I really learned and took on board from my essential oil, my aromatherapy training, was that I would hear essential oil companies say, oh, we can distill our lavender in 15 minutes. And I thought, wow, that's super quick. And I used to think that was a good thing. But then I learned that a lot of the therapeutic qualities of essential oils don't actually get released by the plants until a certain time. And every plant is different during the distillation process. So for some lavenders, it may be closer to 2 hours that the good constituents that we want in our lavender oil actually get released from the plant. So 15 minutes you might get a nice smelling oil that's going to make your soap smell nice and things like that, but you're certainly not going to get an oil that's going to calm you or your baby down. So quality really does matter when it comes to essential oils. Now, I've alluded to this already, but within the aromatherapy community, there are such varying opinions around what constitutes safe use with essential oils during pregnancy and birth, and with babies, and even during breastfeeding. Some aromatherapists scare you and say, you should always, consult an aromatherapist before using essential oils during pregnancy. I, like everything, believe that you should do your own research. Buy a really good quality reference book that you can use as a guide on your journey, and do your own research rather than handing your health over to someone else. And that way you can make your own decisions. Now, normally with workshops like this, I use the word safely a lot. But when it comes to pregnancy, I'm really reluctant to use this term because nothing is 100% guaranteed. And, when we are pregnant and something goes wrong, we look for answers. We look for what could have possibly been the thing that I did that made something go wrong. And usually what happens is they look at things like essential oils. And the last thing we want to do is be recommending an essential oil to our friend or our sister or our neighbor or someone that we know, and then something happens to them and they put the blame back on us. So that's why I think that people need to do their own research and make the decisions for themselves rather than us recommending anything. And I guess the key point to remember is that we are all humans and our body is able to, metabolize and excrete essential oils and chemicals and all that kind of stuff at a different rate. So I know I got this saying from Dr. Dan Purser, but it's a saying that I've used for years, which is that we're all snowflakes. So just because I might have used a certain essential oil and had no reaction, that doesn't mean that someone out there isn't going to have a different reaction to exactly the same essential oil used in the same way. So you've got to make sure that you patch test, that you have an understanding of what else you've done in your life. Have you just had immunizations? Have you just been sick? Have you, are you particularly sensitive? Have you had exposure to a lot of chemicals over time? And if the answer to any of those questions is yes, then you're probably more likely going to have a reaction to essential oils than someone like me who hasn't had those things happen. All right, I just want to cover off on some things that I see on the internet. So one of them is that you should avoid lavender oil during pregnancy. So I went into Google and I put in, avoid lavender during pregnancy. And these are the kinds of hits that you get. And this is why it's so confusing to mums, because it scares us. We don't want to do anything that's going to harm our baby, especially our unborn baby. So you see things like avoid high doses of lavender oil during pregnancy because it's a uterine stimulant. Now, that gets over 1 million hits, but none of those actually tell you what constitutes a high dose. And often when you actually go into the website, they can't even quote the research that was done or where they found that information. They've just copied it off another website, which has copied it off another website, which has copied it. And so that's how you get all of these hits, is because people are quoting this stuff, but they haven't actually got the scientific data or the research to back it up. Same goes for the next three, that we can see 31,000 hits on 2 of them and 241,000 hits on lavender should be avoided during the first trimester. But a great guy to follow is Robert Tisserand, and he's actually examined all the previous research on all of these claims, and basically he's concluded that although proving safety in pregnancy is always a challenge, we can't ethically go and test on pregnant women. Women can actually volunteer to be part of studies and things like that, but in general, it's really hard to do studies on the effects of essential oils during pregnancy because you wouldn't want anything to go wrong. So there's a huge ethical dilemma there. But according to Robert Tisserand, all the indications that using lavender oil during pregnancy is that it's completely safe to use. Another common misnomer or myth on the internet is to avoid peppermint oil. Once again, the claims are that it can promote premature birth, that it decreases your milk supply, and actually neither of these are founded in any science, okay? The Iranian Journal of Pharmaceutical Research actually says that there's no reported data about the toxic effects using peppermint oil during pregnancy or during breastfeeding. And there's an educational website called Medline Plus, and they basically say the use of peppermint oil for pregnancy and breastfeeding is considered likely to be safe, okay? Now, as I said before, I don't like to use the word safe. I'm using in both peppermint oil and lavender. I'm using quotes from other people. But in general, the thing about peppermint oil is if you do, a massage of peppermint oil or something like that on your belly, then you will find that your baby, because it has that cooling sensation, will actually move away from the cooling sensation. They don't want to be near this cool sensation from peppermint oil. So of course they're going to move away from it. And that's often why, a lot of women avoid peppermint oil, particularly in massage, because they find that their baby might turn. And especially in the later stages of pregnancy, the last thing you want is for your baby to be turning around. Another oil that people are told to avoid during pregnancy is clary sage. Once again, there's no scientific research to actually substantiate this. I was talking to my niece the other day, my cousin's daughter, and she was telling me that she wanted to take clary sage in a diffuser into the labour ward, and that her hospital actually has a policy that they can't do that because midwives who may be pregnant may then be exposed to clary sage oil. However, once again, this is a myth and not substantiated by any solid scientific research. I love this book. I mean, I have a whole heap of books, but basically this is Shirley Price and Len Price. They're aromatherapy for health professionals. And in their book, they actually say that essential oils in the extremely low dosage that aromatherapy offers could in no way induce birth, and that they simply encourage. Basically what essential oils do is that they simply encourage the mother's body to do its own work more efficiently. So there are obviously, those three I've just covered off are, what I deem myths, but these are some oils that you should avoid during pregnancy, labour and breastfeeding. So aniseed is one, that's a licorice smelling oil. Basil, I often see on the internet and particularly on Pinterest and sites like that. I mean, Pinterest is great to go and look for recipes for making face masks and all of that kind of stuff, but you don't want to be basing your birth plan decisions on things you found on Pinterest. And I often see with basil oil, it's suggested for women, breastfeeding women. And I say, I'd probably do a little bit more research when it comes to that. Birch, camphor is another one. Hyssop, mugwort, parsley seed, pennyroyal, sage, tansy, not blue tansy, but Idaho tansy, tarragon, thuja, wintergreen. I just want to cover off on wintergreen. Wintergreen, basically the main constituent in wintergreen is methyl salicylate. And this is another thing that I see often on girls posting about their pregnancy and their labour on Instagram or Facebook. They often say that they use wintergreen, or they use essential oil blends that contain wintergreen. So I want you to think about what blends that Young Living has that actually contain wintergreen, because what wintergreen does with the methyl salicylate is it's like taking aspirin, and because it thins the blood. So that's why we don't want to use it during pregnancy, because we don't want to we don't want to be thinning the blood of ourselves or our babies by using wintergreen. Now, they really can't conclusively say the effect of a mother using essential oils and whether it crosses to the baby, but we know that chemicals and all kinds of things cross the placenta and get to the baby. So the last thing we want to be doing is risking our baby getting huge doses of wintergreen oil. So as a general rule, I tend to encourage mums to choose other oils rather than some of the blends that we have that contain wintergreen. And the other one's wormwood. Now, I just want to say that in general, the thing about using, and this once again is information from Tisserand, that it becomes such a contentious issue, but there's actually been no proven sort of studies or or cases, I guess, of women using essential oils safely that have actually impacted on an unborn baby. The cases that have been reported have actually been where women have used large doses of essential oils. So not, your regular use of diffusing or your regular use of applying them topically. I'm talking about where women have, intentionally use large amounts of things like pennyroyal, mugwort, wormwood. They've intentionally used those large doses, and that's where the cases that have been reported of dangerous things happening, they're from using those particular oils. Oh, and that's actually, that list, I just want to say, is from NAHA. NAHA is the National Association of Aromatherapy, and it's an American organisation, but they have heaps of great resources on their website about essential oils to avoid during pregnancy, and if you want to know more information about that. Now, most of us think of 3 ways to use essential oils, and there are 3. However, when it comes to being pregnant and using essential oils during pregnancy, I actually only suggest the 2 ways of using essential oils, which is actually inhalation, so diffusing essential oils, or by using them topically. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about dilution in a minute, but as a general rule, I don't suggest women use essential oils in supplements or or large doses in food and things like that while they're pregnant, because it gets back to that idea before that we just can't take the risk of something happening to someone else's baby. So as a general rule, I don't recommend it. What people do themselves, that's up to them, but I tend to say that when you are pregnant, just using essential oils, diffusing them or using them topically is the best alternatives. So some safety considerations. The first thing is quality. I touched on quality before when I talked about how essential oils are made, but the safety during pregnancy is even more important. So it comes down to the quality of the essential oil that you choose. Many essential oil companies actually, they're not worried about the quality of their essential oils. They just want them to smell nice, because a huge market for essential oils is actually to go just into products to make them smell nice, or to go into candles, or to make them for perfumes and things like that. People aren't actually interested in the therapeutic benefits. But if you want to use essential oils during pregnancy, then you're going to want to choose what I call the Rolls Royce. So there's kind of like the Hyundai version, and then there's the Rolls Royce. And when I was pregnant, I wanted the Rolls Royce of everything. I stopped dyeing my hair. I talked about all the, throwing out all the chemicals in my home. The last thing I wanted to be putting on myself and my baby was a poor quality product. And I wanted to know that there was no chemicals at all in the whole process, from the soil that the essential oils were grown in to the sprays that were sprayed on the plants. I wanted to make sure that they were distilled for the right amount of time, and I wanted to make sure that they were tested properly. That's what I love about Young Living. They test it 45 times before, 45 times after. They have third party testing on, if they need to, all of this kind of stuff, to make sure that we're getting the highest quality essential oils. Now, the next thing is chemical components, and certain essential oils are actually contraindicated due to the nature of the chemical components. So, for someone who is pregnant, we're probably going to want to avoid things like, I mentioned before, the methyl salicylate that's in wintergreen. But there's even some chemical constituents that we want to avoid for other things. So if you, when you're pregnant, have high blood pressure, or you have epilepsy or anything like that, then whatever the contraindication for your particular condition, you're going to want to avoid those essential oils during pregnancy as well. So grapefruit oil, wintergreen, any of your high phenol oils, so your clove, your oregano, all of those kinds of things. You just need to be more cautious during pregnancy. I've talked before about the oils being able to cross the placental barrier. And I guess, during pregnancy, you want to make sure that you're diluting more. So, every day, before you got pregnant, you might have used essential oils, and you might have used them whether you use them neat, so not diluted at all, or whether you diluted them, 1 or 2 drops in a teaspoon of carrier oil. When you're pregnant, you should actually consider diluting them a lot more. And this is because they do cross the placenta and get to the baby. But it's also because of the next dot point, which is whatever it is. It basically means that your sense of smell is stronger when you're pregnant, and therefore it can make you more nauseous. So if you're inhaling essential oils during pregnancy, just gotta mute Kylie. You can, you smell the essential oil during pregnancy, and it actually can make you feel nauseous and even more sick. So by diluting the essential oil further, it can help reduce your reaction, I guess. The other thing is obviously photosensitivity. That's not just specifically to being pregnant, but you want to make sure that you're not putting on lemon oil, or like a lot of us use tangerine oil on our legs and our belly during pregnancy, and we want to make sure that we're not going to then wear a bikini and go outside in the sun, because you will get those pigmentations happening on your skin if you do that. Often women find that their skin is far more sensitive during pregnancy, and that's another reason for diluting your essential oils a bit, as I say, as a general rule, I tend to encourage people to double what they would have diluted it before they were pregnant. And as always, it really comes down to your medical history. And if you, have high blood pressure, if you have a history of being sensitive to particular chemicals or particular medications or particular anything on your skin, all of that kind of stuff, then you are more likely to be sensitive to essential oils. If you've got a history of high blood pressure, epilepsy, if you've got a history of, if you've just been immunized, if you've just been unwell, all of those kinds of things will come into how essential oils actually impact and affect you while you're pregnant. So I've talked about the scary stuff. Now let's talk about some of the oils that you can use. So we've talked about things that you can't do, but there are a lot of oils that you can use. So some of my favorites are geranium, lavender, lemon, tea tree. Oh, actually, I've got tea tree on there twice, I just realized, because I've got it down further as Melaleuca alternifolia. Tangerine, grapefruit, although, as I mentioned before, grapefruit is contraindicated for people on certain types of medication. So if your medication does say that you can't eat grapefruit, then I generally suggest that people avoid the oil. Oh, I've just realized some of them doubled up. Lemon, orange, rose, frankincense, marjoram, cedarwood, jasmine, sandalwood, thyme, and ginger. They're all essential oils that most aromatherapists will use on the low risk. So I said before, I don't like to use the word safe, so I tend to use the word low risk, and these are the low risk oils for pregnancy. And as a general rule, I tend to encourage women to use oils when they need them. So, if you're having difficulty relaxing at night and getting to sleep, then, popping some lavender oil or geranium. If you're having, particular issues, then look at using essential oils to support your emotions and your physical health. But if you don't need them, then, it's a good time to use either less or not use them at all. All right, what about labour? I couldn't have imagined my, even just for my sense of peace of mind, basically, I wanted to have my little first aid kit of essential oils. And as I said, my first baby, I had her in 10 minutes. I didn't even open a bottle of essential oil, but I'd ordered them all and I had them there on hand so that I, knew I could use them if I needed to. And the ones that I, often women message me and say, oh, what should I take in my pregnancy bag? What should I take up to the hospital with my diffuser? And I say clary sage, frankincense, lavender, lemon, and I love Young Living's blend Stress Away. It's an amazing blend. There's a lot of stress that comes with labour and giving birth, and just by being able to calm everybody in the room, not just you, but often your partner, your mother, or your mother-in-law, or whoever else is in the room. It's really, Stress Away is a great blend of vanilla, lime, lavender, copaiba. It just calms the whole situation down. So having those 5 oils, whether you diffuse them, whether you turn them into a massage oil. The reason I popped frankincense there was one of the things that I learned from Gary Young was when he didn't give birth, but when Mary gave birth to Joseph, their youngest son, they actually anointed him with frankincense when he came out. And I loved that idea. So in addition to helping with anyone who's feeling a little bit anxious about their birth, that's what frankincense is great for. It's also great for, if you want to anoint your baby as soon as they're born. So that's just another lovely little thing that you can do. Lavender for relaxation. Lemon. Some women find that clary sage and lavender, they don't like the smell of. I mentioned before that your sense of smell is actually really heightened when you're pregnant. And so, if you find when you're actually in the labour ward, or whether you're having your home birth or whatever, that you don't like the smell of clary sage and lavender, then it's always good to have something like lemon on hand, which is more refreshing, and you can use that instead. All right, what about breastfeeding? So there are oils that can, obviously reduce the worry and overwhelming feelings that come when breastfeeding. So some of the oils that I love for breastfeeding are lavender, Roman chamomile. Young Living has a blend called Peace and Calming. Fennel, I absolutely love fennel. And your citrus oils are all really good for raising a mum's spirits. Now, I often make women up a breast massage oil, and they, because particularly when your milk first comes in, your breast can be really quite engorged, and so making up a massage oil is quite good. You can even massage your breast before the baby comes along, and you can use the oil for that as well. So, using these essential oils in breast massage oils. The other thing is that even if you don't want to massage the essential oils directly onto your breast, just wearing them as a perfume behind your ears, it's a great way to act as a human diffuser for your baby, and so that your baby can actually get used to the essential oils. And if you've got difficulty, calming your baby down and getting them to go to sleep, then actually you being the human diffuser and wearing the lavender oil and Roman chamomile is a great way to get baby to calm down. All right, some essential oils to help both baby and mum have a relaxing night. We all want to get as much sleep as we can. So lavender, Roman chamomile, vetiver. Vetiver is quite a thick oil, so I love to mix it with lavender and Roman chamomile. Once again, the Peace and Calming blend. Kylie's going to talk in a minute about the Gentle Baby blend. I also love the Tranquil Roll-On. So once again, when babies are young, I tend to recommend the mum being the human diffuser, or diffusing them in a diffuser, which I'm going to talk about in a minute as well, rather than putting them on the baby itself, particularly under 3 months. Under 3 months, I don't tend to like to put anything on a baby's skin. Here's some diffuser blends. So you'll notice that I've only got 2 drops, okay? I'm a big believer in diffusing, but I tend to like to diffuse and keep the diffuser on the other side of the room from the baby, not above the baby's cot, so that the essential oil is going all over the baby. Remember that when you give birth to the baby, that our baby's lungs are still developing, and so we want to make sure that we're not giving them too heavy a dose of essential oils. So 1 drop lavender, 1 drop cedarwood, 1 drop frankincense, 1 drop lemon, that kind of stuff. They're my options for under 3 months. When it comes to applying essential oils topically, I'm a big believer in heavy dilution for babies and children. And that doesn't mean that I have used essential oils neat on my own children, but I did my research and I made decisions based on my own children. But what I see is mums jumping into Facebook groups and jumping onto Instagram and recommending people slather their baby, their teething baby in clove oil, or their, baby whatever it is, I put oils neat on my baby and my baby was fine. And that might be true. And for 99% of us, that probably is true. But there's always that 1% baby out there who's going to have a reaction. And Kylie and I were actually talking the other day about Dr. Peter Minke, and when he came out to Australia, and he was talking about how, for babies basically under 3, we shouldn't be using eucalyptus and peppermint because it can actually cause respiratory issues. And he was talking about, that he had that happen to his own child. And, it's quite scary if your child goes into respiratory distress. And they had to put the child into the hot, steamy shower to actually help them get breathing again. And once again, they were a healthy essential oil using family, and their child still had a reaction to, I think it was the peppermint oil. And that the last thing we want to do is have our friend's child that we've recommended essential oils to for something to happen to their baby. And so I guess in terms of this particular diagram, with 0 to 3 months, as I said before, I tend to, unless a baby actually needs essential oils, and I don't think any baby is deficient in essential oils, but if they have a particular issue, like they're not sleeping or they have a particular health challenge that you want to try and use essential oils for, then 1 to 2 drops in 50 mils. Now, 50 mils is a lot of a carrier oil, so whether you use jojoba, with babies, I tend to like to use things like a jojoba because you don't know at that age whether they've got a nut allergy. So I do tend to steer away from the nut and seed oils and more towards jojoba. So 1 to 2 oils, you'll notice that it graduates 2 to 5, 10 to 15, 15 to 30. So if the child, has had a recent illness or has been immunized or, has sensitive skin, or you think that the child has been exposed to a lot of chemicals, whether it's chemical cleaning products or medications, then err on the lower side. Rather than the higher side, I guess. And, always read the label. That's a big thing. I have a lot of people who think that these are natural, healthy products, which they are, but you always have to read the label, and the label will tell you whether it needs to be diluted and how heavily diluted, and, who should seek medical advice, all of that kind of stuff. So make sure you read the label before you use essential oils. Some general safety guidelines I have just covered off on the always reading the label. Dilute. I've just talked about that. Essential oils are strong, and ingestion, which includes using them in food or drinks, is never actually recommended for pregnant women, babies, or for toddlers. Pregnant women and babies are far more sensitive, so diffuse less drops than you typically would. With every new essential oil, always dilute heavily and spot test for a reaction, because you don't know, you might have used heaps of other oils, and I've seen this happen. I've seen people who've used oils for years, and suddenly they get a new essential oil and they try it out and they use it how they would use anything else. Maybe they've just put a roller on and rolled it all over them, and they've had a reaction. So always spot test, particularly on children. Avoid adding essential oils neat to babies' baths, because babies are likely to put their, splash water in their eyes or go under the bath or things like that, and it gets in their eyes and can actually irritate their mucous membranes. And, it's particularly, with babies, if you're putting essential oils in their bath, they end up as big globules. So you need to actually add it to something like either a bath gel or something like that, so that it actually distributes the essential oil throughout the whole bath, rather than water and oil don't mix. So the essential oils tend to sit on the top of the bath water. And the last thing we want to do is, we might be a couple of 30 centimetres, 50 centimetres or whatever above our bath water, but our babies are so much littler that their heads and their noses are a lot closer to the bath water, and they're likely to breathe in those big amounts of essential oils that are just floating on the top of the bath water. So always use something like a bath gel to actually distribute the essential oil, and simply wearing essential oils will actually help babies and toddlers get used to them. So be those human diffusers. Start out by doing that, and then you can gradually increase and use essential oils more with your babies and toddlers. I mean, my girls are totally oily babies. they could probably teach an introduction to essential oils class, because we've used so many essential oils over the years. But I know that they haven't, been exposed to nasty chemicals or anything like that. And I've touched on this before. Essential oils for babies should be used minimally and only if needed in those first 3 months. That's my friend Sarah's baby, Riley. Riley's now at school, so. Some essential oils to avoid for babies: Idaho tansy. They're the similar ones to avoiding during pregnancy and breastfeeding. So your Idaho tansy, which isn't your blue tansy. It's not the blue tansy that's found in our beautiful Valor or Peace and Calming. It's Idaho tansy. Hyssop. Hyssop's a really, really strong oil for lungs, and it's another one like your eucalyptus and peppermint that can actually cause respiratory distress. And hyssop is also contraindicated for epilepsy. So in general, we tend to avoid hyssop with babies and also during pregnancy. Sage and clary sage we avoid with babies. Wintergreen I've talked about because of that methyl salicylate, and I've talked about peppermint and eucalyptus. And just remember to look at your blends as well. That Young Living has a lot of blends that contain wintergreen, has a lot of blends that contain peppermint, and a lot of blends that contain eucalyptus. So, when I say that you need to avoid these essential oils, make sure that you're looking at the blends as well. All right. Some low risk. So what can you use? Bergamot, cedarwood, Roman chamomile, cypress, frankincense, geranium, ginger, lavender, lemon, marjoram, tea tree, orange, rose, sandalwood, and ylang-ylang. I tend to encourage people to look at a few different lists. What happens is people go on the internet and say, oh, this list says that I can use cedarwood and this list says that you can't. Look at a few different lists before you make up your mind, because not everyone agrees on some of this stuff. So these are the essential oils that most aromatherapists agree are low risk. As I say, nothing is 100% safe, so you need to do your own research and make your own decisions, but these are your low risk essential oils for use with babies and toddlers. Oh, I just went too far. And by low risk, I mean, by babies and toddlers, I mean up until the age of 3. Over 3, then you can start and introduce other essential oils. It's interesting, Robert Tisserand, he used to err on the side of caution and as far as eucalyptus and peppermint. I think he's now saying those oils over the age of 5, but I've even seen some people say those oils over the age of 8. Every aromatherapy book that I've got actually says 3. So once again, do your own research and make decisions about your baby and your child. All right, that's enough from me. I'm going to hand over to the beautiful Kylie, and Kylie's going to talk about some other products that you can use with during pregnancy, labour, and with your babies. So take it away, Kylie.
Thanks, Kim. Yes, we are very fortunate that a lot of range has come into Australian and New Zealand market in the last couple of years, making it much easier and simpler for mums. I love that book too, Kim, the one with Shirley Price and Len Price. It's my go-to. You can see all the dog ears on it. So great book. Funny you're talking about being a human diffuser. I think it's such a wonderful thing to be able to do. And when you were talking about stress away and that, I remember a class that we had with Fiona, and a lady came along and she got a phone call from her very distressed husband that the baby wasn't settling and she had to come back. So we'd only just started our class and we talked about stress away and we'd handed it around and she'd put it on her wrists. She rushed home, and the minute she held the baby, it drifted off to sleep. She was so excited that she had to come back to the class and tell us that it was incredible. She couldn't believe how fast, and she was just being a human diffuser. And I think, that's, it's such a wonderful, beautiful, safe way. And there's a couple of oils here. Feathers, can you see Feathers in the screen here? Feathers, the diffuser. I know it's on the slide, but also I've got Feathers here. Feathers is an amazing diffuser. I love it. We take it on holidays because it's so robust, but I love all the white noise. So I can wake up to waves crashing or birds chirping, which sends my cats crazy, by the way. So probably not the best one for my home is the birds chirping, but lovely white noise, which is wonderful for helping Bubs drift off to sleep. which is great. Also, it can go intermittently for 10 hours. Now, I was a croup baby, so I grew up with a steam diffuser with probably really crappy eucalyptus oil, which yeah, and I remember the steam dripping off the walls, and buying one of them for my own daughter Matilda, because we were all croup babies, and now, you know, do better, know better. I love that these are cold air diffusers, and there is only a beautiful mist that comes out, not a steam that's going to cause you know, the dripping down your windows and off your ceiling, and obviously there could be some mold issues with that as well. So great diffusers. Also, there's no hot water, so if you've got older children around that are going to knock it over, there's no risk of burn, and basically it just switches itself off. So a great diffuser, really, for any age. As I said, we've no babies in our home and we love feathers. But there's a couple of oils here that I'm going to quickly talk about first. Gentle Baby and seedlings. Now, I love Gentle Baby. I carry it with me on planes in case I have an upset baby around me, and I can be a human diffuser. Absolutely love this one. And my friend Megan explains it as being like a hug in a bottle. So if you've been in isolation and missing some hugs at the moment, the Gentle Baby is such a beautiful one. And I'm sure many of you, and it doesn't take much to Google or have a look, and you'll see some wonderful videos of just waving a Gentle Baby bottle in the vicinity of a baby and watching it just calm down very, very quickly. And I love the oils in that. But we have the whole seedlings range of products. We can go to the next slide. The whole seedlings range of beautiful, oh sorry, can we skip a slide and go back? Yeah, okay. No. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The whole seedlings range, it's a beautiful range of products that I love. There's no babies in our house, but we use it, and I'll go through all of those, but all of them have this Seedlings Calm blend of oils in it. Now, this has got lavender, it's got coriander, bergamot. Now, this is the bergamot that's not photosensitive, so you don't have to worry about sun exposure. Not that you're going to have your baby out in the sun for a long period of time. And it's ylang-ylang and geranium. So the most beautiful oils, very, very gentle and recommended for babies, are in the Seedlings Calm blend, but they also in every single one of the Seedlings products that I'll run through, which is great. So the Gentle Baby has got all of those oils as well, but it also has in it Palmarosa, jasmine and rose. So that's probably why it feels like a big, big hug, because we've got those lovely, anything with rose in it is absolutely beautiful. So Gentle Baby is a wonderful one that I love to use myself and lots of products, but the Seedlings Calm, such a wonderful one to put in your diffuser for Bub. And then we've got the whole Kid Sense. So the Kid Sense range, so that's, we've got actually 5, there's 4 showing on there now, but we've added a 5th one, which is fantastic. So these are ideal for children to use up to the age of 3. And so we have in there a tummy jies. Now, I love tummy jies. I am not a huge fan of the smell of Digees. So if my tummy is feeling a little unhappy, I love to use tummy jies. Now, what I love about these Kid Sense range, it takes that fear out of using oils with children, because when you're new, when I was brand new, I was really quite nervous. I was a nervous mum when my babies come about of things that I would use, but especially of what can I use, what can't I use, is that blend okay? The beautiful thing about having baby range and a kids range is that it takes that guesswork out. We don't have to have the knowledge of Kim, which is absolutely awesome, by the way, but we've got those wonderful resources. But knowing that we've got these blends that are already formulated for that age group is absolutely brilliant. So tummy jies, really wonderful for unhappy tummies, or, you know, for a massage. I had with my first bub, Matilda, I had a lot of trouble breastfeeding, and she was supplemented with formula, which unfortunately made her a very constipated little baby. And so doing a little tummy massage was wonderful. I only wish that I had some tummy jies back then. That would have been wonderful. Refresh. Now, Refresh, we've got different names in the US to here in Australia. And so I probably can't tell you, well, maybe, can I say what it's called in America, Kim, do you think?
No, but I actually tell people that because we can't use RC with babies, it's like our equivalent of RC for babies.
Exactly. So if you want happy breathing happy, relaxed breathing. Refresh is a wonderful blend there, which is great to put in the diffuser or be a human diffuser as well. We've also got the Genius. Now, Genius Brain Power is an oil that is used heavily in our home, especially at the moment. We've got exams going, but it is quite an expensive oil. But I love now there's a kids one, Genius. And so Genius is great for helping children with their focus, which if any of you are homeschooling at the moment, or the kids, I think most of the kids are back to school, but it's a wonderful blend to help with focus and study and homework, things like that. Our Kids Care is a great one to have on hand. I used to, you know, I was a clumsy child. My kids were a little bit, well, they were a bit more daring than me, always climbing and things like that. So Kids Care is a wonderful little one to have on hand. I actually make up a little spray with that so I could just spray it on their skin if they've had any oopsies. You know, it's like a kiss it better oil. How's that for compliance? And now the one that's not in the picture is Sleepy Eyes, and I love Sleepy Eyes. It is a beautiful smelling oil, and we've even put it in our diffuser at bedtime as well. So another one for the kids is Sleepy Eyes, and it smells amazing. So if we can skip to the next slide, we've got, yes, so chemicals to avoid. Now this is a big one. It was when Melissa Pepping came to Australia and did a tour, and she started talking about what was in our products, and we're becoming more aware of the words like fragrance. I was already on the, you know, no parabens, no phthalates, not realizing that the words fragrance also contained phthalates and they could get around it that way. With your PEGs, your SLSs, all our DAs and our TEAs, formaldehyde. Now, when my children were babies, I can't believe Huggies wipes, and I used to use the Huggies wipes. Back then they used to use formaldehyde in it. I was horrified. Really pleased to learn that they removed the formaldehyde, but they added another preservative, which is an irritant to a lot of people. So if you look on the, I like the Think Dirty app and the Chemical Maze. Kim, I know you like the Ingrid. There's also the, there's quite a few wonderful apps, and you can look at these ingredients. I wish I had in those times been a little bit more aware. We're all hearing about triclosan. It's still in so many products in Australia, even though it's banned elsewhere. Talc is one of those ones I think we're all well and truly aware of. Talc is not a good thing. And as a baby, I remember, you know, my mum used it. You know, I used it with my kids. I didn't know any different. That pume of talc that we're not only inhaling, terrible for our little tiny developing lungs, but also not very good for our privates or anything either. Alcohol is incredibly drying for skin. We don't really want to use products with alcohol. With baby's skin, the epidermis is actually 5 times thinner than an adult skin. So they actually absorb anything put on their skin into their bloodstream so much faster than we do, and they actually have more skin per body weight, up to 3 to 5 times than an adult. So whatever we're putting on that bub skin, they're going to be absorbing so much more of it than we are as adults. So what we use on them is so much more important. And Kim, you and I were talking about this the other day. Dr. Dan Purser, when he came and toured, and it will be on one of the videos that we shared the other day, that he was talking about if he had all the money in the world, he would sue all the nappy rash companies, nappy rash cream companies. And I remember him saying that, and my little girls, we used to go through a lot of that stuff, and I went back and took a screenshot of the ingredients off the back of that brand I used to buy from the pharmacy, and I was absolutely horrified of what I was putting onto my children's skin, and it was going into their bloodstream. So, you know, we have to forgive ourselves because we didn't know any better at that stage, but I'm so glad that I've introduced new products into our Bubs, into our children's life now. So synthetic fragrances, that's one that we talk about all the time. And what I love about Young Living is that we don't need to use synthetic fragrances because we're an essential oils company. So for a lot of people that are new to this and they haven't used oils before, it's, and I think, well, maybe I don't really, you know, maybe they're not into diffusing or anything yet because I haven't tried it, but it's actually the absence of all those other fragrances in those products that you're using currently. Now, if you go down the supermarket shelves and you go looking in the shampoo or the conditioner aisle or the bubble bath aisle or any of those sort of products, you will find it very, very hard to find something without fragrance or perfume. Now, if it's a cheap product that says it uses some plant essences or essential oils, how was it produced? How was it manufactured? A lot of these essential oils are actually made in a lab and not growing out in a field as well. So, you know, you don't, as Kim was touching on before, oils aren't oils, and knowing the quality is really important as well. So synthetic colours as well, they should need to be avoided too. So our beautiful seedlings range, I love this. I reorder these products all the time because they are so awesome. You do not need a baby, but I'm going to explain to you why. The diaper cream, for instance, I love that diaper cream. It's a wonderful barrier cream because it's zinc based. It's the only one that's not vegan friendly, by the way. The rest of them, it is all plant based, but the rest of the range is completely vegan. So this has got some beeswax in it. So the diaper cream is actually non-nanoparticle zinc. So that means that it's not going to be absorbed into the skin. It works as a beautiful barrier. And the oils that are in that seedlings calm blend that I was talking about, lavender, coriander, bergamot, ylang-ylang, and geranium are all in that diaper cream. So it's so beautiful. It's really soothing. And I know a lot of people that have unhappy skin of all ages have found this to be an absolutely amazing, and pets, great for pets as well. So the diaper cream is a wonderful one to have. And I wish I had it and not use some of those other brands that I can't talk about. The baby lotion, that is my hand cream. This lives in my my handbag because it's such a beautiful hand cream. It's got calendula in it, calendula flowers. It's so soothing for skin. It's absolutely beautiful. And as we were saying, this baby skin is so much thinner. Whatever you're going to be using on that, you want to make sure that it's really good quality, and it's very, very safe, and it's going to be nice and gentle for them as well. So the seedlings baby lotion, also really wonderful for anybody who has skin that's sometimes not very happy, no matter what age you are. They lovely linen spray. That's a beautiful room spray to spritz around before bedtime. Maybe if you're traveling or just you want to spritz the sheets or anything in the Bubs room, even their toys. If they've got any cuddle toys, it's a really lovely one because it is so mild, so gentle, and it has those beautiful oils in it too, which is great. The baby oil is my favorite. Many of you that know me know that this is the one that I use as my carrier oil in my face serums. So if you are making a rollerball for a baby, as Kim says, you want to avoid nut oils. And I don't really like heavy oils that are very thick and don't absorb very well. What I love about this one is that it goes on and it's non-greasy. So it's a beautiful carrier oil. I don't like to have like that greasy feel on my skin. And so I love it for myself, but for babies, it's amazing. It actually has in it apricot kernel oil. It's got prickly pear oil. And they are very high concentrates of linoleic acid, which is one of the 3 essential fatty acids. So very close to what, you know, Bubs skin will have, and it's so gentle, so lovely, and it's not going to leave bubby or greasy either. It absorbs nice and quickly. So that is an absolute gorgeous one.
And best of all, it doesn't have any. And best of all, it doesn't have any mineral oil in it. Like mineral oil is basically petroleum based, and so many people buy baby oil that contains mineral oil.
I know. Hey, Kim, I used to try and get a tan and slather my body in it and sit out in the sun. You know, that's what we did at us, our 1970 babies. We used to think baby oil and that we're totally cool to use, not realising, you know, that it is petroleum, which is horrible. The baby wash and shampoo, I even use this one myself as well as all-purpose when I travel. If I've got my seedlings kit with me, wonderful for baby wash and shampoo because it's got none of those ingredients that we want to avoid, and it's already got those lovely essential oils in a mild form that is perfect for Bubs skin or for, you know, for hair or shampoo. So it doesn't matter what age you are, which is great. And the last one in that kit is our baby wipes, and baby wipes are fantastic. I use them as makeup removers, and I'll tell you, your skin feels incredible. It doesn't have any of those nasties that I was talking about before. It's great. I use them as dryer sheets as well. I love my towels to be nice and fluffy, so they do go through the dryer. And one of those baby wipes in there just makes everything smell beautiful, and everything comes out nice and soft and fluffy too. So those baby wipes are so gorgeous. They leave your skin feeling amazing. And when my girls go on school camp, and school camp's 10 days, no showers, they take packets of that they carry around in their backpacks. And I can say that when I picked up my daughter, I didn't have to drive with the windows down. She actually didn't smell like somebody who hadn't had a shower for 10 days and been in the bush. So I don't care what age you are, they are absolutely amazing. And I know that a lot of us love them for our skincare and makeup bag as well. So they are absolutely gorgeous. So if you knew somebody's introduced you to watch this today and you haven't started with Young Living at this point in time, the starter kit is always, all the starter kits are always the best way to get started because they are over 50% off. And all of those oils in there, there's 12 beautiful oils. And as Kim was saying, really for babies or for pregnancies, the ones that you want to avoid in that kit is just the one. The Panaway has got the wintergreen in it, but the rest of them are all 100%, beautiful oils that you'd be happy to use. And the ones for the babies that you want to is your peppermint and the RC, which we were talking about with Dr. Peter Minke was talking about for underdeveloped lungs, and that 0.05% can actually cause them to have a little breathing distress. So, but for the rest of the family, they are oils that you really want to have in your tool belt of health. Really, it's part of my tool belt every single day. So, and a diffuser, we all need a diffuser. It's absolutely incredible. So once you have any of those kits, you then have a wholesale membership and you get 24% off. And then you can buy one of these beautiful seedlings bundles or any of the seedlings oils, the kid scents, we've got the lotion, the shampoo and the gel, or even a feathers diffuser. You can get all of those. But with the Young Living at the moment, we actually have a customized enrollment order. So you can actually start with anything you like to the value of 100 PV. So you can get a feathers diffuser and some oils or maybe some diaper cream and some wipes or something like that. So the person that introduced you or asked you to watch this, please go back to them and work out which is the best way for you to get started. So thank you so much for listening. I know there was so much more information that we'd love to share, but we want to keep it short and sweet as much as possible. But don't be scared to use these on your children and your family. I wish I'd known this earlier. I look back at the things I'd used and these are absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much, Kim, for sharing all of your extensive knowledge of Bubs and pregnancy and oils. It's absolutely awesome. Thank you.
I am so passionate about natural childbirth and breastfeeding. I have to come down off my soapbox sometimes. But, they are a beautiful, beautiful gift. If you know anyone who's pregnant, I know someone just commented and said that they're their go-to gift as a baby shower gift. And I think that as well. That seedlings range is amazing. But I guess the other thing is, as a special gift to those of you who register for today's workshop, Kylie has some gorgeous DIY recipes. So maybe you're a DIYer and we're going to email those out to you as an added benefit for registering for today's workshop. So thank you, Kylie, for those recipes. And if you don't like DIYing, then obviously the seedlings range and the kid scents and all of those kinds of things are products that you'll love. So as I say, do your own research. Essential oils are an awesome addition to your birth plan and and to looking after your kids naturally. But you just need to be a little bit cautious. And as I say, buy a good research book. Don't just trust what you read on Pinterest or Instagram. Because just because someone else did it doesn't mean that that it's right for you or your baby. So thank you, everyone. Next weekend, I'll come back to you, Kylie, but next weekend, if you're interested, we're going to cover the next age group. So we've talked about being pregnant and birth and children. Next weekend, we're going to talk about using essential oils on children. So if you're interested in that, jump on and register for that one. So Kylie, you were going to say something?
Yeah, just quickly, I know that a few people are going to ask after listening to this, because those that are particularly cautious, our nincture, because of course our nincture is infused with some essential oils, but nincture is such a great to use during pregnancy. And I just thought people will be asking, is it okay to drink nincture? What do you say about that?
So the essential oils that are in nincture are ones that that we would find in foods and things like that anyway, and they're not highly concentrated. When I talk about, I'm talking about supplements such as Inner Defense, Diagives, Longevity, those kinds of ones, you know, where it's high concentrated. But as far as Ninja, I wouldn't have been able to get out of bed some days if it wasn't for Ninja. So yeah, no, big believer in Ninja. And I guess one of the other questions that was asked about was to calm down teething babies. I actually love copaiba, Roman chamomile and lavender mixed up in a roller bottle and rolled down their jawline to calm teething babies. So, you know, there's another little hint, I guess. Because, you know, you think about if oils are really strong, like clove and things like that, if it's strong on you, it's going to be strong on babies as well. So, and clove is generally one to be a little bit cautious of anyway.